Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Quid Prog Quo with my good buddy Notes. And, it's our first episode of doing this in 2026. So happy belated New Year to everybody. We're already into February. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Glad to be back. I always love chatting with you and chatting about the Quid Prog Quo. You always have to kind of think about it. But yeah, doing great, doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. It's already, we talk about it all the time when we get into this stuff, but you always go into every year wondering what the year's going to bring. And then you already start to see 6 months out all this music that's coming. And again, it's already happened, and it's looking like a great year already. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the first 3 records that I've landed on my desk have just been stellar. So I think we'll be eating real good this year for new prog music.
Yeah, it's weird. It just, more stuff surprises, more things come up. But this has become a good way to talk about older albums and just come up with some stuff. So we used to have it be where it was an album we each haven't heard, and we've sort of evolved it a little bit into older albums, maybe based around a theme. And as we were chatting about this, we came upon this one where albums where it's the first albums of a new singer in a long running band, right? So singer leaves and then they get a new singer and then here's the new album. But this one is with a twist. It's each band's third singer. And so, of course, we're talking about Genesis and Spock's Beard, who have a crazy sort of parallel I guess timeline, if you will. Of course, Genesis is much bigger, and many people that know Genesis have never heard of Spock's Beard. But that aside, of course, you have. I'll run down the quick comparison if you want, but of course, you have the first 6 albums of Genesis with Peter Gabriel singing, and the first 6 with Neil Morris singing, it was his band and the whole thing. 2 main guys both leave after long concept albums about a guy going to New York. It's very eerie that way.
Yeah.
And then the drummers both take over as lead singers and they continue as 4 pieces. That's sort of where the similarities end a little bit. Of course, Genesis goes on to have humongous success with Phil Collins on, I think, 8 records, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
And then Nick DiVirgilio, who took over for Neil, does 4 records, leaves the band, and they bring in Ted Leonard.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that album, Brief Nocturnes and Dreamless Sleep. And then we're going to talk about the one album that Genesis did with their third singer, Ray Wilson, which came a little later in 97. But that's sort of the premise here. And we thought that's an interesting comparison. And we actually both like these records. So it's kind of cool. So why don't you go ahead and lead the discussion on the Spock's one?
For sure. So, Brief Nocturnes, probably hard pressed. Gun to my head is my favorite Spock's Beard record. It's a very Sophie's choice when it comes to Spock's Beard. It's like, do I like V? Do I like Snow? Do I like X? Do I like the self-titled? But I think at the end of the day, it's Brief Nocturnes. And yeah, even though Ted Leonard took over for the main singing, it was also the inclusion of Jimmy Keegan on drums and backup vocals that I think also really helped round up with Nikki's departure. And I don't know, there was like the secret sauce with the 2 of them coming on that really kind of ushered in this new era of Spock's Beard that I really, really love. And honestly, like all of the tracks on here are bangers, like the only one that sometimes I kind of question is Submerged, as that feels more like a Ted song, like a Ted Leonard song.
It is. It's a song from his previous solo things he had demoed or whatever. That's what I remember from that.
But on the plus side, it really showcases his range. It showcases his talent, and it showcases that he folds himself into the Spock's Beard family enough that, if you close your eyes and you didn't know, you could still say that this could have been from like their self-titled work, So even though I would say Submerged is the one that I feel is the dip in quality within this, and that's like a very small dip, everything else here is just a banger.
So you have Neil contributing writing. I don't think he did. I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, excuse me. I don't think he contributed any writing through the Nick DiVirgilio era.
No, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, and so he did on this one. I want to say Afterthoughts, which is a continuation of the Thoughts series a little bit, and then the ending track, Waiting for Me, which is
Waiting for Me.
pure
Yeah.
Neil Morse, if we're being honest. I mean, that's as
Yeah.
Neil as you want to get.
Yeah, specifically within the guitar playing, like definitely he penned some of the lyrics and some of the actual orchestration, but within the guitar, within Waiting for Me, I'm like, that's a Neil lick for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this, I don't know, this one really rekindled my love for Spock's Beard. Not to say that it was quenched in any way in terms of, I might be the odd one out, but I think the 3-record run of Self-Titled, X, and Brief Nocturnes is their best 3 records. Like the 3-record run.
Well,
Again, I know I'll ruffle some feathers, but that's my
yeah.
favorite 3 run of
Here, I'll
theirs.
say this: they are. You're not alone in saying that. To me, the 6-run record of Neil starting the band, with all due respect to everything that came after, is untouchable. To me, it's a 6-run masterpiece run that compares to Genesis. I'm going to remove from Genesis beginning, whatever the first one, but I'm going to go Trespass to Trick of the Tail. Those 6 records, to me, those are equal.
Okay.
That's how good I like the Neil Morse 6-album run. It's utter genius. That rekindled, to borrow your word, my love of. I thought prog was gone.
Right.
When I was into the late 90s, I was listening. I mean, Dream Theater was about it. A couple of other bands here and there, but I didn't think of prog as anything that was really existing until I discovered that band, and it was like, what is happening? So that was really important to me. Him leaving was a crushing blow. We've maybe talked about this on another podcast, but look, what the band did in building up their writing skills, and with every album got progressively better. Feel Euphoria was a nice starting point. It's okay. Octane got better, I think. Self-Titled is really good. X is the best with Nick DiVirgilio for me.
Agreed.
And then this one is comparable. It's right there. But to piggyback on what you were saying, there are people that think this is their best album. Many people. To me, that's like, look, it's like saying your favorite Kansas album is Power, or your favorite Deep Purple album is Perpendicular, or things like it's just
Strangers or something like that.
Perfect Strangers. Like they're great, they're really good, and you can love them, and they're awesome records. It just isn't the original, and it will never be the original. So that's how I feel about it. But I get it. You're not alone. I've heard it many times.
Yeah, I almost wanted you to say, I get it, I understand it, but you're wrong.
Well, that's my nice way of not saying that. Yes, because it can't be. Well, my thought is it just can't be the best, because it's just it's just building off of many albums that were the foundation was laid of other people. It can't be, but it is. It's a very very good record. It probably still holds up as the best Ted Leonard record.
Easily. I mean, I don't want to say this because it's going to sound mean, but I mean this as a positive. I mean, the bar is set kind of low for that in terms of the best Ted Leonard project. Not to say that,
I'm talking within I'm talking within the Spock's Beard albums he did.
Yes, that's what I was getting at, because I think the other ones after this, I'm not a big fan of, if I'm being honest. The
spotty moments. The spotty moments.
Yeah, I feel like the tracks I like on albums past this are more of like diamonds in the rough than anything else. But
I mean, let's see. Oblivion Particle is okay. Maybe the weakest. Maybe the weakest one. I did like Noise Floor.
I didn't like that one at all.
And then the new one, Archaeoptimist. Also decent. For pretty good comeback record.
I would say it's probably the best of the 3. But even that one, if I'm going to listen to a post Brief Nocturne Spock's Beard album, I'll just listen to Ryo Okamoto's Myth of the Monstrous.
That's a great.
That one's a good record.
That is a good record. And you know what? That may be a podcast for us to do later. Side projects of different members or something.
Absolutely.
Filler albums, whatever it is. But anyway, do you want to highlight a couple of songs on this one? Then maybe I have one too that we can check out.
As I was mentioning, I think like all of the tracks on here are bangers. Like right from the beginning with Hiding Out, like that opening note sequence is just powerful. I love the guitar slide that's on it. I love the synths that are on it. But I think the ones that I want to point out is A Treasure Abandoned. Um, the thing that this album does really well is set up a theme that will then get reprised at the end as being like this big epic statement. So Treasure Abandoned and Something Very Strange, I think for me, showcase that perfectly. Even though Hiding Out, I Know Your Secrets, Afterthoughts, and Waiting for Me are banging prog epics, I think I Am A Treasure Abandoned and Something Very Strange just hold what I love about this kind of mid 2010s era of progressive rock, of putting a theme down near the beginning of the track, play and jam, and then at the end just revisiting it and really knocking your socks off of that. So,
okay. Do you have a time marker on this, or just start from the beginning?
Don't. I was just kind of like, I was listening to this album prior. Let's see your time markers. Let's go. You know what? Right at 7:20 or so of A Treasure Abandoned.
Okay.
Is when they bring that big theme back, and they do the supper's ready thing that a lot of people do, where they bring it back, they slow it down, and they make it a lot more epic.
Right.
It's mwah.
Okay, let's check it out. Yeah, it's a total Spock Spirit epic ending.
Yeah, which is wild that it's only like 9 minutes. Feels like it should be at least 12.
I forgot this ending. It's really good.
So good, right? Shivers, man.
That's good stuff. And you know what? I always like the Alan Morse outro guitar solo thing where he does two guitar solos at the same time, just hitting random notes. And it just is, it's something he's done very uniquely, and he's really good at it. It sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And then the other big one was Something Very Strange, and it's basically the exact same thing. And I have the time marker at 6:45.
And this is one of my favorite songs on this album.
Yeah, and sure. it really showcases Ted's singing veracity. When he comes back and shouts out that whole Something Very Strange, it feels like a gut punch.
Yeah, let's check that out.
So I want to call out Dave Miros, I think is how you pronounce his name, the bass player on this.
He's awesome.
That bass work on there, he just takes it for a walk. And, I feel like everybody knows, if they're in the, the Spock Spirit family, Alan Morse and Rio and now Jimmy, but I feel like Dave never really got his flowers. And on that song in particular, his bass really shines through. So
one of my favorite bass players, very Chris Squire sounding, always has the bass up front.
Mm-hmm.
He's a badass. He's great, great, great. Love those.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump to just a little bit of Waiting for Me because we had mentioned that, and I love that one. But
absolutely.
also
Let's
going
do it.
back to the ending,
Mm-hmm.
with the big epic ending, which is just awesome. So let's check out a little bit of that. All right. So good.
So
Love
good.
this. Well, that goes on for a little bit, but you can get the idea. I'll probably, if you're
Yeah,
watching this, you've probably heard it. But anyway, we love that.
yeah, yeah.
Good
I
stuff.
am
It is.
kind
It's
of
a great album.
Yeah, I'm kind of saddened that the streaming sites haven't put out the bonus discs because some of the tracks from the bonus disc are also really, really good. Um,
It's been a while
and
since I've heard
I,
those.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I'm looking at my CDs that I've got beside me, and I'm like, I know I've got it somewhere in this massive wall of CDs, so I can ramble off some of those bonus tracks. But um, oh, it was like Dave's Not Here or something along those lines. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um, this is also from sort of a seminal prog year in the modern prog era of the last 20 years or so, 2013, which had
yeah,
every good record. Like that's
yeah,
just one of my favorite years of prog. So yeah, all right, well, good idea to bring up that one.
yeah.
All right, so let's jump into
Let's talk
calling all
about some
stations.
Genesis.
So okay, so everybody knows Phil Collins left after the We Can't Dance album that came out in '91. I think by the they toured, and then maybe '90. I don't know when he actually announced. I don't think it was immediately after that because I know they went on tour for a while, um, and then he left to focus on solo stuff. And then they found this guy Ray Wilson, who was a singer from a band called Stiltskin, that had a couple of minor alt rock hits. Um, I guess some people may or may not know also that I think Francis Dunnery was a finalist to maybe be the singer,
Mhm,
and also
mhm.
David Longdon from formerly Big Big
Yeah,
Train,
what
the late
what could
great
have
David
been?
Longdon.
Yeah, they were also eyeing, if myth is to be believed, Nicky as well. Nick de Virgilio. I always
De
trip over his last
Virgilio.
name. I know that they were
Um,
eyeing him for like drumming and perhaps like background singing.
he did play a little bit on the record.
Yeah,
He's on like a couple of songs.
yeah. But there's
Not
always been
not
like that. What could have been if David and Nicky were on this and then like done another album?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, I just
I just
remember hearing the English Electric was the first Big Big Train album I heard, and just thinking, wow,
same.
this sounds like Genesis. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
so Genesis to me, and he sounded so much like Peter Gabriel that
yeah,
I mean, I think that would have been amazing. So,
yeah.
but anyway, we love David, and we always think about him when we listen to this music.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and so uh, I look. This was one of the weird things because Genesis, even back then, one of my all-time favorite bands. I was a huge
Mhm.
Phil fan. How dare they do a new album? But I was willing to give it a chance and listen to it. And surprisingly, I really liked it. I just
Mhm.
really always really liked this record, even back in the day. Of course, it didn't do well. They did a European tour. They canceled their U.S. dates because of low ticket sales, and then shortly just ended it after that. And
Yeah.
Uh, sadly for Ray Wilson, but it did allow me to discover Ray Wilson, who I have since bought every solo record he's ever done, and he's one of my all-time favorite singers, and I think he's amazing.
Nice. Okay,
So,
great. Great.
yeah. So, to me, this is sort of not. It's Genesis a little bit. It's sort of like the first Mike and the Mechanics album to me, like a little bit. It has a little bit of that because that was a really cool record, the first Mike and the Mechanics album, like Silent Running and some of those songs.
Yeah.
This has a little bit of that. If Tony Banks played keys on it, that's sort of how I
can see that
about this record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see that.
It's not full progginess, but it's definitely more prog and instrumentation friendly than We Can't Dance and Invisible Touch.
That's true. Although even with I Can't Dance and Invisible Touch, they both still had like the big prog epics. And by prog epics, I mean like over 10 minutes.
Fading Lights and
Fading
Domino,
Lights.
yeah.
Driving the Last Bike. And the closest that we got on this one, I would say, is The Dividing Line.
Yeah.
And that's probably my favorite track off of this album. It's the one I come back to the most. And much like you, I legitimately like this record. I wouldn't go out and say I love it or that it's my favorite of theirs. But it's not my least favorite Genesis record. And I do think that when we're talking about Genesis's records, this needs to be included in the conversation, even if the band as a whole has very much distanced themselves. I think the only time they've ever included tracks from this album in any of their compilations or live sets is when it's almost contractually obligated. Like I think there were 2 tracks off of the BBC big box set that was put out last year.
Congo,
and I think
I think Congo was on like the greatest hits. They did include that.
Yeah, I think like on Archive they also put out like Congo or Shipwrecked. But yeah, I feel like they've basically abandoned this record. Like they never play any of this live now outside of the very limited semi bootleg that they put out for this record, which was I think live in Poland or something along those lines.
I wouldn't. Yeah, no, but I think they tried. I think it's fine that they tried, and sometimes it doesn't always work. This record to me just exists in its own universe. It's a good album by a band. It's just and that's how I accept it. I just like the songs on it. I really like a lot of it, and it's a good album. Is it remotely a Genesis record? Yeah, not really.
I wonder, this is where I've always kind of had 2 minds of this record. It's like, would they have found more success if they had just called it something else, not a Genesis record, but called it something else? Or because it's called a Genesis record, did more people buy it initially, but then did they get disappointed when it wasn't the next Genesis record and more of like a reinvention of themselves that didn't quite work? I wish we could turn back time and see what would have happened if, they called it Mike and Tony and Friends or something along those lines, but we'll never know.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. Let's check out a couple of parts here. I'll pick, so I really like the opening song. I was telling you
gotta
before,
you got to play that Sailor Moon opening guitar slide as I mentioned
the beginning, but I do want to skip to the end. But yes, I do like the opening. It's very Mike Rutherford. I mean, it is just right there. Yeah. So
just that slide is straight up Sailor Moon.
I mean, this sounds like this sounds like Genesis. This part does.
Yeah.
It's a great opening, very Mama sort of sounding.
I was going to say, right from the self-title.
Skip to the end here.
Go for it.
singing that he's doing there is just so emotional and just it's like he's dying. And I could hear Phil singing that too. It sounds like what he would have done.
I was going to say, it does sound like a song that was written for Phil, even if it wasn't by Phil. But it also kind of has that late 90s, almost grungy rocker kind of sound to it without being that harsh, very gritty kind of style. So, yeah.
It's almost like their metal song to me, which
a
is
little bit. I
kind of dig a lot. The other one I'm going to jump to is also sort of a real proggy one, the Alien Afternoon. Which has so the beginning has this very also kind of self-titled sound, like Silver Rainbow and that kind of stuff. Like this
one of my
weird
favorites.
Let's see, this kind of very Tony Banks messing around with the keyboard thing. But I'm going to jump to the ending also, because this again also has this sort of really cool, this part. It's a song of two parts. So there's that beginning, and then there's the proggy ending, which is really cool.
Very Tony Banks.
Yeah. They still have that Phil drum sound. They still used it. I love it. I think that's so good, man.
It's so interesting listening to the tracks in isolation like that. I'm like, why wasn't this album more better received?
Yeah, people were like, we were happy with Genesis. I wonder if with the time of like 91 was that crossroads in music, right? So you still had things like Van Halen and even Def Leppard and like Metallica, the Black Album. You had that kind of was still sort of happening, and then Genesis, obviously, but that was beginning of grunge. And I wonder if even if Phil does an album with Genesis in 95 with pop hits and stuff, if people are like, we're over that now. I wonder.
Yeah. Now I will counter, because I believe soon after 97, we got Tarzan soundtrack, which is one of his greatest works of Phil's. Fair. So you had like I'll Be in Your Heart and whatnot. So I think there was still an appetite for that style of music, but I don't know if this style of music without those big meaty ballads would have connected. And it's also
maybe if they had a ballad on it like that, maybe it would have worked, but maybe the proggy flavoring that they always brought, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, especially within the mainstream. But I mean, at the same time, 97 Spock's Beard was, they had a couple albums under their belt by that point.
Yeah. Did you want to pick one? You want to do a Dividing Line maybe?
I was going to say Dividing Line is the other big one for me. And honestly, it's the intro of the track, because then they just kind of reprise it later on, but they don't really do anything with it. They don't need to, because it really is that good. And for me, it's that Tony keyboard meat that, he just knows how to construct a memorable keyboard lead for the track. And yeah, I think this is one of his best works, and it's kind of saddened that most people don't know about it, because it's on Calling All Stations. Yeah,
great tune.
Yeah. And the drumming really builds things up.
Who's playing drums on this one?
I don't know. Here it is. See that whole sequence is just like perfect. That just
Yep.
Yeah.
The
So
drummer
yeah,
on
Nick,
that is the guy near Z.
Yeah.
He played
Near
on
Z.
most. He played on most of that stuff. He played on that song.
yeah, he also he played all other songs in the second half of Alien Afternoon, and then Nick did If That's What You Need, Small Talk, and Uncertain Weather, and I think the first half of the Alien Afternoon.
Yeah.
If Wikipedia is to be
Weather's
believed.
another good. Right. Yeah, I think that's correct. Uncertain Weather's another really good ballad. And yeah, I mean Shipwrecked is cool. A lot there are a lot of slow songs on it, but most of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
And Conga was decent. So yeah, there you go. I mean, I think both these records are pretty cool and interesting in how they found ways to keep bands going that we like.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit.
At least for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll try and do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
And have to bring you in on some other stuff as we, when we can.
Absolutely.
You want to give people an idea of what's going on the channel?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been a little quiet during January. There's just been a lot of changes in my life. But I've got 3 new reviews coming. I've got Big Trains review coming in. I've got the Urns review coming, the new Neil Morse coming in. I think I'll do like a big album roundup of just what I've been grooving to this past month. But yeah, honestly, like all 3 of those records that I just mentioned just nailed it out of the park. Like, and the very interesting, the parallels between the Neil Morse Band and the Big Train. Those 2 records, I'm like, did they plan this? Did they sit down and compare notes, like change it just a little bit? So
did you look at the album covers? Even the album covers.
Even the album covers are very, very similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think prog fans will be eating really well these first, handful of months within the prog.
Did you the new Carnival too? I don't know if you've checked that out.
I haven't had a chance to check that one out yet.
Excellent.
So that's what I've heard. I've heard it's very good. So and the new singles from Peter Gabriel have just been fantastic.
Oh, both songs have been really good. The new one I like even better. The second one is really good.
So I love that.
Good stuff.
Dripping those. Yeah. So that's it for me. That's what I've got going on.
All right, man. I'll see you around next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out all our other videos, Wheel of Progs, interviews, and so on, ProgReport.com and on our socials. And we will see everybody real soon. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all our socials and ProgReport.com. And we'll see you all again real soon. Thanks.